Roger, thanks for dropping by. Made me mind up, they're going in holey clay pots. Basically because anything else will be a faff. Things I've tried, leaving them bare rooted, spraying them, didn't work. They've been sat in moist moss for about 3 months, not a sign, nothing. So that was deemed not to be working. Some have suggested wrapping them up in a polythene bag. I personally don't agree with that on the grounds that you are sealing a plant in somewhere with no air movement, no change of air and 100% humidity, and that to me says rot. Sorry. Now if I could do that with live sphagnum moss, it would ease my mind a lot more because of the sterilisation process that live sphagnum can actually do. But the reconstituted dead stuff I don't believe has those properties. And to seal a plant in a bag with no fresh air, no air movement, in 100% humidity, doesn't sound like an ideal world for an orchid to be living in. So they're going in the holey clay pots. Decision made. Sorry, something else on my mind at the moment. I put too much bark in there, see I'm not concentrating. Right, now one of these has got a very long dead straight root. Let's get that one done first. Now these have got to be set up in the right place for the pot. I've pre-wired and I need the plant in such a place. These holes are in different heights from the rim, and the one I want to use to poke the wire through is that one. I might need to put a second wire through, I don't know yet, but I'll do that at a later time. So I need this to be in a position where that wire can go across and hold it, which is about there. Also with the wiring process, the plant has to be high enough on the media so that when you apply the pressure on the wire, it's got something to bear down on. So you can't have the position of the plant too low. It's got to be pulled down onto something. So that something already needs to be there. Now I've only got one root here. It's fragile. So I'm not doing any packing or mucking about or anything like that. All I want is for this wire to be able to pull down on that rhizome and not wobble about and break that root, because there is only one. It may grow more, that is the theory, but at the moment this plant is totally reliant on that one root. Now, where's the rhizome? The rhizome is there. Yep, that's about right. So I just need to thread that wire through there and through the hole. So I'm holding the plant very still with my other hand on the grounds that this manoeuvring and pulling wire around can wiggle the plant. And any wiggling, now that that root's down in that media, could break it. So I'm holding the plant still while I'm manoeuvring this wire around. And it's decided to catch inside the hole and it's not pulling through cleanly. So I'm glad I've got hold of the plant, because I'd have probably pulled the plant over by now. I think it's going to have to be the pliers. That's got it. I can leave her against the side of the pot then. And there we go. That's what I'm after. And then I can use the wires of the pliers to pull that tight, hold that rhizome in place and twist so that it doesn't come loose again. Yep, that's good. That's one. Just trim that off and bend it over the side so I don't catch my finger on the sharp bit. That's one done. Now obviously handling this plant puts it in danger, so every time I pick this plant up from now on I will be ultra careful to not wobble around. It's not absolutely rigid, it's not bad. just having a root around, because in amongst this large bark is flaky bits like that, which I don't want in the pot. They just break down really fast, so it's better if they're not there. Quite honestly, the Orchiata bark is quite clean. It's got dust in it, which will wash out of the holes in the pot the first time I water it. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, let's have another go. Now this one is in a totally different ball game, because this one's got several roots and a new growth. Now obviously that part of the rhizome needs to sit just on top of the media. You can see I trimmed off most of the old roots. Believe it or not, when I started trimming, these roots are rock hard. They're not soggy. That doesn't mean they're alive. Probably turned to stone. But they're not soggy roots. They're really not. Now, which is the hole I want to go to? That one. So this one's not going to be so easy. I'm going to have to put that one in at a slight angle, I think. Otherwise that wire is just not going to work. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this one might need a second wire. Well, it's better to get it on before I get the plant in the pot. Much easier to wire it before the plant goes in. It's less wobbling, less mucking around, and that hole looks big enough to get 2 wires through. So if I start one there, now I can come at the plant from 2 different angles and it gives me choices. So I think that needs to go about there, and then this wire can go across the back of the rhizome. Actually, well, there's enough room for 2 wires because this is just not easy. That one goes across the back of the rhizome, that holds that firm, and then this one will go across the front. Yep, that'll do it. So this one I'm doing slightly differently because it has got the start of a root system, which when it hits the chunky bark is a bit abrupt, shall we say. So what I'm going to do with this one is add some small bark just round the base of those roots after I've got it in position and pulled it tight. A little bit more, just a tiny bit higher. Yeah, that's good. Right, that one goes through there and holds the back of the rhizome, which is, you know, quite a tall pseudo bulb with a leaf on, so that's quite an important grab, that one. Again, I pull it tight with the pliers, that stretches it over the rhizome, and twist it so it doesn't pull back through. See, the rhizome's moving all over the place at the moment, that's not firm. It's holding the back of the rhizome in place, but it's still capable of twisting, so it's the next wire that's got the real work to do. So I'll get some more chunky in, and as I said, I'm going to put smaller bark in around the base of that once I've pulled it. Yeah, I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to poke this wire through a hole rather than try and get it through the little tiny holes. I'm going to poke it out through one of the lower down ones. Where the wire comes out really doesn't matter as long as it pulls tight and does its job. So that's going to go right down through that hole. That's right on that root. Firms that, and that's quite good. That's not bad. That's not bad. As I say, it's up to me to just not wobble the plant around, really. Hopefully these roots are going to get going quite quickly. Alright, so I'm just going to put some small bark round the base of that bit where the new roots are. Just really because the small bark will stay moist longer. I mean, these plants are crying out for some hydration, They must have been getting sun through those old roots, otherwise these plants would have died by now, because although photosynthesis can actually, you know, sort of feed the plant, it can't really hydrate it that much. I know they've been kept in a moist atmosphere, but it's not the same thing as actually getting hydrated. So that'll do. Okay, I'll give those a good water now. The plants were in soak. Basically, I took somebody's idea that the plants are crying out for nutrients because what they can get on photosynthesis through these leaves is minimal. So they've actually been dunked in what was left of my water that I used to water the mounts. So the leaves have actually been soaking in water, and the pseudobulbs and the base of the plants. So they've had a bit of a soak. But the idea now is that this media will stay moist but with air, and it should give some new roots a chance to grow. This one's survival depends on that root staying hydrated and this eye pushing on. Now it might find another eye to push on, but at the moment I've got my eye on that one, because if that one doesn't grow, the one the other side of the pseudobulb has gone black, so that one's unlikely to grow. There is another one there that's green higher up. It's an unusual place for an eye on a Cattleya, but if it starts hydrating through that root, who knows, it might push both of those, we shall see. But that's the weaker option. This is the one that currently has a new growth, and it's got 3 new roots, one of which is now down in the media and the other 2 are touching the surface of the media. So that's got the best chance to go. But at the moment on this one I can't see any other eyes. There's possibly one there, maybe, but it's going to need to hydrate the plant before it'll even think about moving that. So there we go, that's those 2 done, and we'll see how we get on. But thanks for all your options and your ideas. Quite honestly, when I made the video this morning, while I was making it and talking, I really was making my own decision anyway, and this has worked so well on getting all my Cattleya types going. You know, they took off as soon as they went into this environment with all of that air around the roots. The ability to give that a flipping good soaking, and within 24 hours it's starting to dry, if not drying, you know, well on its way, and within 48 it's dry, which means it can have another soak. But it gives it a proper wet-dry cycle. And hopefully it'll work. Updates to follow as usual. And as usual, they will be one of 2 things: either they've died or they're growing. Those are the 2 choices. Sitting there doing nothing is not an option. You listening? Okay, thanks for dropping by. See you again next time.